Hi, Athletics LLC land. We're back. Uh, Short a couple tiles, but tis the competition season starting, opening up this weekend. So, to be expected a little bit. So, you crazy kids out there competing in December. Us old people like to wait until January.
Man, that's
Savage.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. So the one time that I have uh actually done a December meet was when they attempted to put the track in Dallas.
Oh,
Um
oh.
and and we got there, didn't quite happen. Configuration of the track was wrong. We get there trying to warm up. Okay, let me stop.
That's like the putting together of the rail. That's why you number it. So you can't get it
Fire
wrong.
fire marshal shows up and is like, there's not enough room in this building.
Oy vey.
So
Oh,
yeah, never
yeah.
didn't quite pan out. We
Well,
did get our money back though. We did.
completely to date ourselves, Governor. Do you remember the Sunkiss track without the railings outside lane 6?
And think about what Chris Nellums did on that track.
I listen.
Okay?
The things that happened on indoor tracks back in the day make no sense because look, people are running on Mondo Super X on
That's
top
right.
of permanent structures now.
Right.
And Carl Lewis set the world indoor record
Yes.
on
Yes.
a run on a approach that
Yep.
is painted plywood,
Yes.
slipperier than a marble floor and
Yes.
socks, right? And it was too short.
And it was too short.
Both the run
And
up and the
and
landing area were both too short.
and his sister had to go find some extra plywood so that she could make him coming off the bank a little smoother. I
Yeah,
mean, that I've always said that could be a 30 for 30 in itself.
100%.
Like just the mere fact that he attempted it. Because he didn't have much room to land at all. I mean, yeah. So, but you think about the myriad. You think about yeah, the Sunkist meet. What was the meet in the LA in
How about
LA?
the one in Pocatello?
Oh Lord.
Also on painted
Yeah.
board.
Wood.
Oh,
That
what
was
was the
like
name of that meet
the
that was in?
livestock
What was the
center.
name of that meet that was in L.A.? That was on an 11 lap to the mile track.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
The
Those
the
were the
flat
days.
the flat
And
200 track in at George Mason.
listen, flat 200-meter tracks anywhere. But I will tell you this, and it's too bad that he's not on. The O'Connell Center in Florida had a 200-meter circle
Yes. That one in Lubbock.
that
Lubbock was the same thing.
once they did in no because Lubbock was worse because Lubbock was 250 meters, the most random number on the planet. But the O'Connell Center in lane 5, lane 6,
That's right.
it should have been illegal to get indexing off of this. I mean, just go back. Like the
Oh
records that were
man.
run there were absolutely insane.
Yes, they were.
And
Hmm.
then they started indexing the 55 meters once we started running the 60. And I think the O'Connell Center straightaway was like 58 meters long. Like you come across the line and then it was like right into the mat. And I'm
Right
like,
into the mat.
yeah,
Yeah.
those were the days.
We've gotten way off target, Chew. Sorry.
Hey, you know what?
That's okay.
This is what people tune in for. They're like,
That's
what are
right.
these old dudes about to talk about now?
Right. Literally.
It's all good.
Hmm.
Literally. But
It's
it's
all
good
good.
combo because I'm sure half of that either people have looked up those facilities or are going, yeah, with you. So that's okay.
I mean, even the regulation tracks back then, the track in the Hoosier Dome, I mean, those turns were so tight,
Yeah,
you know.
100%.
But hey, we didn't complain.
You didn't know
Really?
any better.
You
No,
did. You know what?
we just
Listen,
didn't
we
know any
because we
better.
talked about Indianapolis before. You used to warm up in the convention center on carpet,
On carpet. Yep. Yep. Yep.
no
Yep.
spikes. Put your spikes on when you get on the track.
Crazy.
Crazy, crazy.
Indeed.
Well, the gentlemen are live and kicking if you haven't noticed already. So I won't even ask them how they're doing. So I'm going to dive straight into the topics.
Ooh,
So,
Tang.
okay. Um, Transfer portal. It's a hot topic right now because the window is now open and some people have dove in like it's the summertime already. Um, but between the portal and NIL, it's new construction, everything that's going to happen in 2025. Um, what has it done to the athletes in regards to multiple events, dual sports? Where do we see that going, if going anywhere?
Oof. You know, I'm not sure there's enough room anymore.
The deep end? Just kidding.
Right? I mean, like, okay, there were already so few football track doublers, right? There were already so like that was already sort of a rarity. Now you have like football players, especially skill position ones, they have become uh single year contract potential free agents,
Mhm.
right? Like, they always talk about how baseball players and how football players respond in a contract year. Honestly, for skill position players in football, every year is a contract year. So because of that, right? Because there's always this continuum, like from the player's perspective, if you're already at a really good school, you're trying to make sure you do well enough to not get put in the portal. And
Hmm.
if you are at a school that is just below that, you're trying to do well enough so you can get in the portal to go to the first school. So at the end of the day, these guys, so many of them are so concerned with, the shell game that is the football portal. I don't think any of them have any time to try to run track.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Right?
Um,
Like I mean, and plus, are the portal dates for football and track? Are they do they coincide?
um, that's a good question. I
Football
gotta look.
opens up on December 9th.
Okay.
And
Which,
track
so
is
that
already
means
open, right?
yeah, it's already
Track is
open.
open. So there is
Yeah.
an overlay.
Yeah.
So that so you see what I'm saying? Like all of that kind of plays together. That like if you just, I mean, like any other business, you're going to make sure you take care of the as Marshawn would say, you got to make sure you take care of your chicken, right? So like if I'm a football player, I'm probably going to be mainly concerned with my transfer portal options, or so to speak, or whatever in football. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I have never coached collegiately in the portal or NIL era. So I'm just giving like what it seems like from the outside. I'm definitely like I'm about to be popcorn tuned in for the two of your responses because y'all live this. I don't.
Well, let's just start with, something that a football coach explained to me, like in terms of the changes and the changes of the mentality of a collegiate football player, where let's just say they get injured, like in the early part of the season, right? The mentality used to be get me back on the field as fast as possible,
Hmm.
right? Let's get this rehab done 4 to 6 weeks. Let me get out of this boot. Let me get, in a pool. Let me get back on the field.
I want to get back
He's
for the bowl game.
he's like,
Mm.
nope. He is like, they are quite happy
Yep.
maintaining their red shirt and keeping that red shirt or getting that red shirt and putting a kibosh on the season and
Hmm.
starting over again the next year. And whether they get in the portal or not, it's no big deal to them,
Yep.
right? So there is much more of a feeling to conserve, right? There's much more of a feeling to so add in, go through the football season, come out for track season, and it was already rare. I mean, for the athletes that actually did it and succeeded, but there's clearly a path to do it. I just see fewer and fewer football players that are even attempting to do it. They're just not. There's more to lose in college now.
Yeah.
It's not even about if I'm not on the field, I'm not going to get to the pros. They're like, bump that.
Yeah.
If I can make a couple million while I'm here, yeah.
Like I
So,
just don't see how we're gonna see like a Marvin Bracy or a Jeff
mm-hmm.
Demps again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's because not because, I'm sorry. Part of the fear, not necessarily instilled, maybe it is instilled by the coaching staffs, but every rep in practice or in the game is a tryout for your spot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
at any point in time, as it should be to an extent, right? Like you're always trying to maintain, but the second person behind you, if they have a great day, they might be it. And now it's become so volatile and so short-lived that like those turnstiles are always going. You didn't get a couple more reps to like you didn't have a safe spot. So they don't want to miss the spring ball. They don't want
Well,
to miss those reps.
and then in that same vein, it's not that that kid is any less marketable.
Hmm.
That
See, that's you're
A
going with
Shane, you
yeah.
know,
Um,
Tyreek,
the wide receiver that was the combined eventer at Princeton.
yeah.
Oh, I don't. The Hawaiian. I just know he's Hawaiian. I don't remember his name.
I mean, that is still a very viable and a very enviable situation to have to be to be in.
See,
And
that's
it's a
how I would think. I would come from football. I would go to track to
mm-hmm,
get ready for my combine 40.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
But those
so
so, but they're too worried about having 7-on-7s, even at the collegiate level. At the collegiate level,
mm-hmm,
they're not worried about the tournaments per se, like the high school level is. But that field time, what good does it do?
yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I mean,
I think a lot of it boils down to the people that are now advising these
yes.
athletes. And
Because to that
it's
point,
like,
doesn't spring ball mean less now?
yeah,
Because it
yes.
used to be, right, like they would tell you you got like in spring ball, that's where you set the depth chart for the fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's just not true.
I mean,
The transfer portal sets the depth charts for
exactly.
for the fall. So at the
Right.
end of the day, like, why am I
Mm-hmm.
killing myself out here when I know you're in the portal looking for another wide receiver, cornerback, running back, whatever it is? And look, if I was the third string and I ball out and I'm killing everybody and I now look like I'm gonna be the first string, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the starting running back at or the backup running back at Alabama gets in the
Mm-hmm.
portal and y'all get him, I am
Um,
still the backup.
yes. Well, that's the thing. Like, how much of your final team is playing spring ball,
Hmm.
right? How many of with the portal coming up later on, how much of that squad that shows up for spring ball is really your starters, you know?
I mean, it's like the bowl games too, right? The bowl games used to be like the beginning of the separate.
Absolutely.
Now, I think 90% of the bowl game rosters are like dudes that just happy to be there.
I mean, the amount of players that pass on bowl games now. I mean, it is just insane now. Like it's almost making outside of the championship games and even the championship games, you're finding that some of the top players are like, I
But
got bigger fish to fry, you
look, let
know?
me ask both of you, right? Like I think everybody on this show is pretty loyal athletically, right?
Hmm.
Okay, you're a junior, and your advice that you're getting from your potential agent, because we know you would never break any
Hmm. Of
rules,
course not.
right? Is that you are a first rounder.
Yep.
Would you play in a bowl game? Would you play football for free, knowing that football is one of the most dangerous things you can do?
Okay. Now here's I'm gonna answer that question with a question. How many of these kids have NIL in their NIL contract saying that you have to play in these championship games in order to honor your part of the deal? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I mean,
I mean,
the question is to big league, because I think she's usually in on the legislation portion. Can you even have those kind of stipulations in NIL deals?
That I don't know.
Because I feel like these kids can't be made to do anything
I
by
don't.
ways of
Yeah, I don't
NIL.
think that can be one. I think
mhm.
you probably can be strongly encouraged to participate, but I don't think you can be mandated to.
So it really has nothing to do with performance per se. It's
No,
more here's the
appearance.
period of time
Hmm.
that you have to. Okay, never mind.
If I was an NIL underwriter in today's world, because everything is monetized, I would make it. I would put a bonus clause in if you played in the bowl game.
Mm,
See, I don't know that you could do that either. I
yeah.
don't think you can incentivize like that because it's your presence is
Yeah.
that's the assessment,
But
right?
but
Right.
that's the point, right?
But so
Because
no, here's
because the
but so
bowl games
here's
are
how
going
you
to
can
be.
do. Hold on.
Sorry.
I think how you get around it because you can't use the words that both of the terms that you guys used. I don't think you can
Hmm.
use. I think you do like if you have an additional 5K followers.
Hmm.
That's how you do that. And how do you get that? You have to be out and about more. You have to
Yeah.
be have that value more. So
Yeah.
if it's the bowl game, then it's the bowl game. If it's not, it's something else. But coming back into what we're the question originally about the dual sport athlete, specifically to football and track. Um, I think when the conflicting information stops or the conflicting encouragement stops, I think we can see it happen again. Because, we have the sports performance coaches who are saying track is the under of football. You do track base. That's why it was that whole hoo ha when Christian McCaffrey and Tony Holler had their thing.
Hmm.
We're seeing so many of our track performance coaches have football personality. I don't want to call them personalities, uh, personas with them in the off season and whatnot. Once the college, high school, though that level genre of people stay committed to track helps football and actually allow that to happen, then we'll see that steady flow again,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there was a whole long period uh, when I coached high school track that the football coach made them come out to me. And then in
Yeah.
the fall, I was out with them for a short period, and then, you know, it changes because you've got to win your 7-on-7 tournament.
Interesting.
Very.
Um,
It's not dead, but it's in decline.
Yeah, I mean, very few and far between, right?
Hello, people, live from the airplane.
okay.
This is a throwback to back in the day when we would just do the show from anywhere. I like it.
Yep.
Touche.
Are
Uh,
you're not airborne?
No, he landed.
Oh, you
I've
landed.
landed.
Okay. Okay.
I've landed in Reno, Nevada.
Okay.
Um, like I said, it these type of situations are never going to be 100% over. But yes, it is basically dead, especially the football track combo. Because if I'm paying six figures cash, I don't want to hear about your dreams and aspirations to go run around the track. And
Well,
that's just where it's gonna land.
well, where are we now? Where will things be when we start to revenue share? I mean, what would the stipulations be when we're starting to dole out hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars? You know, that's will there be fine print inside that?
Yeah, or like
You know?
proportions, how do you
Yeah.
divvy that up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would have a hard time believing they'd allow you to collect from football and track, or
Yeah.
whatever the dual sport might be. I think it's interesting. So I had a dual sport athlete last season. Um, Let me half step back before I get into that one. I think at the D1 level, we are seeing the decline and in almost less than 1%, right? But I think you still see it at the D3 level.
Oh, hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's still a thing. And I think that actually thrives at that level.
Yeah.
D2, I'm trying to think, and I don't recall it happening so much as of recent, if at all, but I'm sure it does.
Yeah, just like anything else, the lower you get, and I don't even like the term lower. It's just different.
Yeah, the
At
different division.
Division 1, it is completely in decline, if not on life support. D2 still plays, and D3 it thrives. But
Hmm.
the answer to all of those questions is money. The money is different at every one of those levels. There is no money at Division 3 level. So everybody's just out there grinding for the love of what they do. So of course it works.
Hmm.
Well, with what we see coming down the pipe with the decrease in scholarships, I mean, increase in football, decrease in track. I feel like there's still going to be a situation where you're going to have track/football players that are playing at the D2 level that are going to be very, very good. That are
Hmm.
going, and it may
They get
be,
pushed elsewhere.
yeah, one or 2 years in that system, and then they get snatched right up, and
Hmm.
and I think that feeder type system is going to be well in play. So when that kid comes to D1 and wants to run track, what kind of conversation is that going to be,
Hmm.
Um,
The same lie that they tell them now.
oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yes. Come on. Let's get it done. Is that what it's
But you
going to
want to
take to
start,
sign
right?
you? Yeah.
But you want to start.
Mm-hmm.
right. Exactly. And that ends up becoming the threat, quote unquote, your starting position or your key position. So, like kind of what I was saying, and I did have a dual sport, basketball and track last year, and whether self-inflicted or actual, and I'm not saying this was at all, um, but they were hesitant to miss practice, the basketball practice,
Yep.
and rightfully so. Like basketball was paying him, so I couldn't say anything. But there were things that we had to consider because basketball was paying him and we weren't. He just wanted to, and the coaches obliged and let him come out and whatnot. So we were grateful. Um, but just it's different things on the line, and
Yeah.
it's not the same mentality or tactics of, all right, well, you'll come out here and you'll be out here with us for this amount of time and then you'll go back.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like negotiating everything, literally everything. So tailspin a little bit. We're talking about the dual sport athlete, but even in this specialization period that we just referenced, the multiple event athletes within our sport themselves,
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing a decline of that, right? We used to talk about we don't like specialization, we like 2 to 3 events. And now you see 60-meter specialists.
See, but I think that comes from a combination of two things. I think that comes from the over specialization of youth sports in
Mm-hmm.
general, in general, right? Like it used to be you had to start taking things seriously somewhere in the 13, 14 range. Now, like you for sure need to pick a sport and be damn near year round at 12.
Mm-hmm.
Are
Like
you
that's
saying
the
that's good or bad?
that's the landscape. I don't think it's good, but that is the landscape,
Yeah.
right? And then I think the other part is, and maybe it's bred by this, but I just think that today's kids have been led to believe that life is a quid pro quo. Like I saw a thing on Instagram today, and I'm not going to out the athlete, but I saw a thing on Instagram today, and it said, "See, the problem with college track is they want you to do 3 events for $15 and a Jersey Mike
Mm-hmm.
sandwich."
Mm-hmm.
And I like, yes, I know I sound like an old man, get off my lawn, but like the entitlement jumps off the screen at somebody like me because I'm like, you were nobody before you got to track, and you got a full scholarship, like you got school and opportunities for free,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it's like, yeah, they fed you your Jersey Mike sandwich, and yes, you got a per diem, and sure enough, wasn't no $15. But at the end of the day, you also got to travel the country. You also were afforded opportunities to to run fast enough to gain a professional career, which is now going to let you travel the world.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put it out there on that message like that, what 99.9% of his peers are gonna say is yup, and the younger ones are gonna read that as like, yeah, that's why I wouldn't do track.
Yeah.
When the reality is like that's crazy talk.
Well, I think because of the landscape that we're in, because of the mentality of high school coaches, uh, where let's just take the state of Texas, where relays are everything. Okay. It is one of the hardest conversations to have when you're telling a recruit that a 20.9 split, a 46.8 split, even a 9.8 split, like I can't do
Not a
anything with that.
thing.
Those are the
Okay.
ones that kill me, the 4x1 splits.
and you know, and I'm talking to the kid well in advance and I'm trying to say, hey, can you just go run an open 4? Can
Yeah.
you go run an open 200? Like, I need to have something on paper to be able to come back to my head coach with.
But I can't
And
run an open 4, coach, because I got to run the 4x1 and the 4x4.
there you go.
I got to run the 4x2 and the 4x4.
Right. Yeah,
And my coach doesn't want me to be tired for the 4x4. If I run the 4, then I'm gonna be tired.
that's right. That's right. So I'm gonna just, and let's not even talk about the 300 hurdles. Like, but all that being said, you are left with an athlete that you're literally having to build. You're having to build that kid from freshman year on into someone that could double. And how long is that going to take?
Mm.
Right? You're trying to add a little bit more volume to their training. You're trying to, see if there's something there, right? And it sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you're also trying to convince the kid at the same time, hey, your 21.5 is somewhere in the middle. You're in space right now. But if you can give me 47 flat,
Hmm.
hmm,
Hmm.
okay. And that's the part that, we struggle with. I'd say that we in general, and it's there are fewer and fewer athletes. Now, Silent Rage, you might wanna wouldn't you say that the East Coast and California are still in the business of running races? Like you're going to
Mhm.
run your open 1, your open 2, your open 4.
100%.
Right.
Because the advancement procedures. Well, first of all, on the East Coast, the garnering of notoriety procedure, and on the West Coast, the advancement procedure, both require voluminous abilities. Like you have to be able to run multiple rounds. Even if you were a 60 specialist, you got to run 3 rounds in one day.
That's right.
So because of that, yes, on the 2 far coasts, for sure, you will get an athlete that can do multiple things, can do multiple rounds, because they had to compete in high school.
Yeah. And you might get especially on the East Coast, a 1, 2, 4, but that ran cross country.
Yeah.
Right.
Unfortunately, but yes.
So I want to point something out real quick. The governor talked about like having to develop them and not being able to develop them. Let me fine tune that picture a little bit. A part of that foundation and base to be able to do those volumes, we think, and in the past have had that done in high school, because they were running the 4x1, 4x4, and 1, if not 2 other races in between, or 2 other events, let me say it that way, as opposed to us teaching them how to do that.
Right.
That's the difference of what, to put a little more finesse on it, because we're not scared of developing. That's what we do. That's what we're excited to do. But we want to do this to this, not this to this to this, or this to this to this. And that's the big difference.
And how many coaches at this level have the time or are given the time,
given the ability to develop?
Exactly. And
right?
that's the part that, it absolutely sucks. It sucks because we see it. You're at a meet.
I was just going to say that.
And random 4x2 goes off, and you're having a conversation, and out of the corner of your eye, you see someone on the backstretch, and you're like, who is that?
Yeah.
Right? And by the time you get to the coach, he's like, coach is like, well, yeah, that's John. He just runs on our relay. And you're
That's
like,
our relay bandit. And
and
you
you're
can't find a
like,
time, and you don't even know which John it is because it's not the right John
that's
listed
right.
on the second
You're going
leg.
through your list, and you're like, which John is this? But you know what you saw. Right?
What's crazy about Texas, and all of y'all know this, there are kids who will go to a meet and run the 4x1, the 4x2, and the 4x4, but they would look at you absolutely sideways if you were like, I need you to do the 4-2 double when they get to college.
That's right. It's true.
And they would be like, dang, they'd be like, dang, coach, if they had to run the 1-2 double in college.
Yeah.
But they will run 2 rounds of the 4x1, a round of the 4x2, and a round of the 4x4 in one meet in high school.
Yep. Very true.
So we're seeing the decline of the multi-sport as well as the multi-event athlete. And I do believe it's to the demise of the athletes themselves and the opportunities. Let me say that better. Not the demise of the athletes, the demise of the opportunities for an athlete to grow to their greatest potential. Expand that all the way open. They're missing opportunities.
I mean, the explaining to an athlete nowadays that in my sports day at my high school, I ran the 1 to 2, I ran the 4x1, the 4x4, and the long jump and triple jump in 2 days. Year after year after year.
Liked it. Like couldn't wait for it.
You knew you were going to be exhausted. You just knew it. But okay.
Yeah.
You're
also trying to win all of those events, not just participate. Like
I mean,
real.
But in the previous generation, like there was no such thing as a long jumper. Like you long jumped and triple jumped. You could have been better at the long jump.
Exactly. But you still played in the other
There
one.
was no such thing as a 100-meter person. You did the 100 and the 200. There was no such thing as a quarter miler.
Yep.
You did the 4 and the
And the
2 if you
2.
were fast. The only reason you didn't run the 2 is if you were too slow,
Yeah.
right? Like if you couldn't run
Then you're
faster
getting
than like
pushed.
21.5,
Well,
You're
then you
getting pushed to the 8 anyway,
then
so it didn't
then
matter.
somebody's trying to push you to the 8.
yep. And think about how many 4-8 combos we saw.
Mhm.
First of all,
Oh
the
my
8
goodness.
4x4 used to be listen, the standard 4x4 used to be made up of 2 quarter milers,
Ooh, a
a
sprinter.
half miler, and a sprinter.
Yep.
That was your 4x4.
That was your 4x4. Yep.
And the half miler always ran third leg
That's right.
because wherever they
Just-
got the
just
stick,
hold
they
on
were
to
going to
it.
hand it back off because
Yeah.
they was going, they weren't going to die.
Yeah.
They were
We were just
metronome.
talking
They
about
just
that.
they just
Yeah. Kept it going.
kept it going.
I thought when I was in high school, I thought all half milers could split 48 or 49
Mm-hmm.
because it seemed like they all did.
Yeah,
Like no 46s, but no 50 points either.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mm-mm-mm.
So, talking about running and splitting, we're going to segue a little bit and talk about how to get there and talk about what's the benefit of training on various surfaces. Is there a benefit? What are your beliefs? I believe there's a benefit. I think there's a time and a place.
I will quickly say, because I'm outside now.
All right.
I will quickly
Welcome
say,
to Nevada.
right, if you have the ability to if you have the ability, like in the fall, to do the work you want to do on a grass surface, you should do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no, it could be whatever you want. It can be block starts. There's nothing wrong with doing block starts on the grass surface. It will save your athletes overall long term from impact specific problems. Not all of us have that ability, but if you do, if you have access to those things, you should do that. Grass better than turf 100%, but
Mhm.
turf still useful. And with that, I will leave y'all and I may be able to return.
Safe
Be
trip.
safe.
We can see this is the thing. Being that last generation that really didn't have a choice, right? I can safely say that training on hard surfaces actually worked for me, right? There's a certain amount of resilience that I built up training on asphalt, which is, I mean, it's insane for me to even hear myself say it. But
Scary, right?
by the time, so between training on sand, Island Boy, training on grass, training on asphalt, you know, jumping off asphalt, like what? But by the time I got to the first rubber track that I'd ever been on, oh my goodness. I mean, fly me to the moon, you
Hmm.
know? And not only that, playing basketball as much as I did. I mean, my routine was lunchtime playing basketball, PE playing some play, whether it was football,
Something.
soccer, whatever. After school, track practice, after practice, playing basketball. That was a normal day. And so when you think about the various surfaces that I played on, trained on, all of that, it all adds up because what does sand do? Sand, forces you to use those proprioceptors in your
Hmm.
feet, right? You're constantly trying to get a grip. You're constantly trying to maintain balance, right? You get on grass, it's very forgiving. So you can do your harder, more ballistic moves, your bounding, that sort of thing, without absolutely crushing your legs.
Hmm.
You know, you get, hills. I mean, hills are still a standard training method that I use, and it's tough. It toughens you. It toughens you up. You're running uphill on asphalt. You've got to dig in and push, right? There's no real opportunity for you to, either stand up and sprint when you're running uphill, you know. And then when it comes to performance, yes, you better get used to feeling what synthetic rubber feels like,
That's what I was going to say. Building
right?
up to that too. That's a
Yeah,
buildup.
yeah. So you're building up over a period of weeks and months to performance, you know. Now, clearly there's an advantage when you have an indoor facility because that's a different kind of response altogether.
But is it an advantage?
For indoor,
See, see what's so funny is I'm on the same wavelength, I think, as Big League, in that I think the best scenario to possibly be in is to be someplace where you have decent enough weather to be outside, stay on a 400-meter track, and when you need to change surfaces, get on grass, and
hmm
then go to meets that are tricked up indoor tracks. I
okay,
think having the tricked up indoor track is a humongous disadvantage anytime you go to a facility that is not of the same ilk, right? If
okay,
you go someplace where it, like when every time they go to the crossplex and they got to jump off the ground, everybody looks crazy,
well,
right?
well,
Not everybody,
I
like
wish,
everybody at those places.
I wish you had been at the last national meet there when the first jumper took off in the long jump that had jumped over 8 meters,
Hmm.
right? Lands in the pit and is like looking at the crowd like, yeah,
Hmm.
765,
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
you know? And that's something. Now, I'm speaking purely of if you have a super duper uh, track surface that anyone else coming in is going to have to adjust to, within that day.
Yeah,
You
for
add
sure.
a you add adrenaline, you add all that stuff. You start floating. It feels good, but now your approach is 4 feet longer than it should be. Stuff like that. That's why, I think, you take Arkansas, you take Tech or Clemson. I mean, that's a feeling that only you, that's a sensation that only you as an athlete from that school is going to recognize and be able to
Yeah.
adjust to. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay. Got it.
You know what I'm
And
saying?
so what I mean by when I said question, the advantage of it is, for a while there, when for those of us who weren't training on these synthetic surfaces or who had dead tracks and didn't have an elevated track, things like that, um, the perspective of it being a benefit, we kept seeing the injuries because they weren't training. I don't know if that sounds right, but like the training was just not sound per se, is what we were told, right? But because we had the stiffer surface, we knew how to adjust to it. No one could adjust that elevated runway or whatever it could be for that. Um, I mean, I remember not indoor to outdoor, but even when outdoor tracks were becoming synthetic versus dirt, and the adage was, don't be so happy running on the synthetic surface. It's laid on top of concrete. You're going to have more injuries.
hmm
And not that it isn't now, but now it's engineered differently, so it's less and da 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 da. Not all the time, but sometimes. Um, so having those various surface, I think, is great, just as everyone has alluded to build on, because you just build a resilience. If you're doing it right, you have to be effective, you have to be efficient, you have to be appropriate. Um, but the resiliency to endure for a long amount of time, not just in meters, in months, is what I find to be the most beneficial.
I mean, there's so much proof in the pudding of what we're talking about. Like, this isn't necessarily on purpose, but it is. I know it to be true. the best high school by numbers, and it's not even close, the best high school track and field program in the entire country has a dirt track. They use grass, and the only thing that they have there that is rubberized is a pole vault runway, and they don't even own a pole vault pit. Right? And you go to Long Beach Poly and you're waiting, and you show up expecting to see, 9-lane Binding or Rec, or Mondo track, because based on all the crazy marks you've seen them do. And then you get there and you're like, there ain't no way that these people have trained on this dirt. And the answer is absolutely they do. You come to the realization that there might be something to this, right? There might be something to, not always being on the competition surface, whether that be Binding or Mondo, because there's all these people out there who believe don't get a Mondo track because it's hard and more injuries. And I'm gonna tell you the truth. There's no science to that. There is no science that's proven that having a Mondo track causes more injuries. It's just not true. Like what you do on the track surface in general is probably what causes or doesn't cause the injuries.
Well, it's the same, same thing that goes for, okay, why are athletes sliding on boards and why? Well, it comes down to what your position is. What position are you in? Are you sticking that foot out, and doing that? It's the same thing. Are you slapping the track or are you preparing for the track before you actually hit the track? And one of the hardest things that we deal with as coaches is when we see that athlete that is absolutely pounding the ground, it's coming. It's coming. The shins are coming, the knees are coming, the Achilles, something is coming because there is a skill that comes along with sprinting at a very efficient level.
There's no question, right? Like
no matter what the surface.
To your point, it blow I'm old, but I watched Carl Lewis jump 880 in the pouring rain on a wood board that nobody wiped off. So when I see athletes in 2023 and 2024 sliding through boards on bone dry tracks, I'm confused by this because it's
like a you problem.
It sounds like a you problem because again, in the 80s and 90s, the only thing they had to dry off a board was a towel that was useless after the third jumper, right?
Because it was already wet.
It's raining and we've already wiped off the board 3 times and they only gave us one towel.
So Governor, let's just age ourselves. At meets, do you still carry a towel just in case you have to wipe off the board?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As if it's still going to do something, right?
Yeah.
Still do. In preparation for a home meet, what do I do? Make sure I have a towel in the box.
Yeah.
Anyways, I had to throw that one in there. So before everybody comes racing for your throat on your statement of Long Beach Poly track, they now have an all-weather surface. So
how old is the track? 2 years?
Oh, I don't know, but I just know it's all weather and it's now in there. So I'm just trying to help save your throat for another weekend.
Listen, they can come for me all they want to. 99% of their school records were set before they had a rubberized surface. So come for me if you will. I mean,
let's be real. When you were giving that description, everybody was trying to say that Bullis wasn't it or whatever other high school program at this point, right? Whatever the Michigan one is. I can't remember it. That one's on my head. But anyways, Mumford? All that to say, no.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the name of the school right now. Anyways, so yes, I think the overall perspective from the 3 of us, or even 4 when Clyde was on for a moment, is that all surfaces have a benefit when used appropriate, when built up appropriately, and being efficient in your mechanics. So it's not to say one is better than the other, or one should be done more than the other. It's how they all work together.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good, they don't use them anymore. Good cliff notes for that conversation. So the best topic of the day, and the only one that actually matters at this point, let's be honest. What are your top 3 holiday desserts? If
What
you even have
holiday?
3. I mean, all of them. Do you really need a specific one to eat one? Let's be real.
So what holiday are we talking about? Like you
I-
throwing
The
Thanksgiving, Christmas all into it,
all
or
of it together.
Holiday.
oh boy.
A day that you celebrate. Let's say that. I mean,
All
today could be
right.
a holiday. I mean, oh,
Okay.
happy Founders Day. Not even reminded by your name, the
Oh,
name change, but the day to
well,
celebrate.
thank you, ma'am.
Hmm. Moving on. Just kidding.
All right. I have my top 3.
Only give us one so we can go in carousel fashion. But give us
All
your
right.
number 1.
My number 1,
Yes.
Oh, you don't
I'm
want number 3? You don't want to build from
No,
bottom up?
no. Who cares about the
Oh,
last one? We only want to know about the first one.
I mean, even though it is not the best thing for my stomach,
That means it's dairy
apple pie a la
with
mode.
ice cream. Oh, you I was
Hot
gonna say there's ice cream on it.
hot apple pie a la mode.
You've got a
Just
winner in our household.
done. Done. You
listen,
Okay,
Linda.
hold on. Knowing where you grew up, was this a thing when you were younger and
no,
still
no, no, no,
an
no.
island? Oh, it's
No,
since you've
no,
been
no, no,
here.
no.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay.
No.
I'm not trying to be funny. Do they? Don't laugh at me for asking this question. Do do apples grow in Cayman?
That's not
Yes.
the question I
They
thought you were gonna ask.
apples are like, so let's take Cayman. Everything is imported in Cayman. Everything.
So yeah, okay,
But there is a version of the apple. It's called star apple. It's a
okay.
Mm, mhm.
it's a type of apple. More pithy. But
Wait, hold
no.
on. What does piffy mean?
Pith, P-I-T-H.
Oh,
P-I.
oh, okay. I was like, what is that?
Yes. See, Cal and Rice bringing it.
The
We
heck?
will educate people on
Okay.
this show.
Cal State Long Beach says, huh?
Yes,
Pith.
I love this.
P-I-T-H.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Spectacular. Tremendous.
So, the typical apple, there is
Ah,
some resistance when you bite into
mhm.
it. The star apple kind of, it's more,
Gushes.
yeah, it's kind of more melt in your mouth type. Yeah.
Like a peach.
Something like that. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. More coarse though.
Got it.
Um, yeah, so that's my, let's see, what do you guys have?
Listen, Linda. If the house was on fire
Mm-hmm.
during Thanksgiving, I would run in the house,
Yes.
grab the pecan pie, and run back out.
That is such a love-hate dessert. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I won't even
Need
disagree with you because most people have a strong feeling one way or the other.
one way or the
But
other.
but as the chairman of the pecan pie for all days of all holidays, I
Mm-hmm.
don't care if you don't like it.
Okay.
It's just more for me.
This is more for you. Big League?
Seriously. So, first off, I love cons as an entity. I don't like pecan pie. I can't do the gooey. So that's my asterisk to that. But mine is, and everyone flames me for this every single time. Pumpkin pie.
Oh,
I
Lord have
love
mercy.
pumpkin pie so bad.
Wow.
So I
I
want to say this for the record.
All right.
Kareem,
This is me loading you up in the boat, Chew, and pushing you out to water
this conversation, the very first time
without a paddle.
she and I had this conversation, I just like you're saying, I looked at her differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like I literally went
Love
like
it.
this. Look, I went like this.
So here's
'Cause
why. So kind
she
of like
chooses
I'm
pumpkin over
sorry.
sweet potato, no
This is
less.
me nudging you
Yeah.
off the table.
into
But here's why. This is why. And there's like maybe a handful of foods
There's nothing you
that
can say.
no, but listen, there's probably a handful of foods that like because of how I grew up, when I
Uh-huh.
got exposed to these things, I was like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Right? I mean, grew up first generation American, so I didn't eat a lot of American food.
Right.
And so I get pumpkin pie and I'm like, what is this? It is magic. I love it. I had the same reaction. Everyone makes fun of me of this. I didn't have meatloaf till I was like 20. And I
Okay.
had it for this time and I was like, what?
Wow.
Meatloaf is fabulous. Yeah. Shepherd's pie didn't have that till I was like 26. Shepherd's pie is amazing. I don't care
Yeah,
that it's poor man's. It's
I
amazing.
mean, for the record, I'm on the shepherd's pie team
Shepherd's pie
as
done
well.
right is off the chain.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Off the
And
chain.
those people who try to convince you that chicken pot pie is better, they need to go somewhere.
Yep.
Shepherd's pie is
Anyways,
far
okay,
better.
sorry. Back on track. Dessert number 2.
Mine,
Mm-hmm.
Easter bun.
What's that?
Ah, okay.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna Google the
it's
picture of this
it's
and keep
it's
talking.
a it's a spiced bun,
Okay.
right? I mean, you can taste the cinnamon, you can taste the nutmeg, you can taste, and it's got raisins in it. Um,
Oh, okay, I see.
and it's a Jamaican staple. Like
So
it's
at first glance, it looks like fruit. What's that called? Fruit loaf?
yeah, yeah. So back in the day, it used to be filled with dates. I mean, like
Mm-hmm.
the red
Yeah.
translucent, orange, like, and I think by and large, people are like, let's leave that in England. It came over from
Yeah.
England.
Yeah.
But yeah, Easter bun with the type of cheese that we eat it with is not for the squeamish because it's extremely dense. Like it's canned cheese
Mm-hmm.
and it's very bitter. So it kind of offsets the sweetness of the Easter
Mm.
bun. But yeah, I mean, I cannot go through Easter without having found a loaf and it's in my pantry. Yes,
So
absolutely.
do you go and buy it or do you make it?
No, 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 no. So the HEB, there's one HEB
Mm,
in San Antonio. I
that will
don't
do it.
know how they managed to have a Caribbean section, but they did.
Mm.
And so even though the price is inflated by 10,
You will pay by 10.
I will buy it.
By
Yes,
11.
absolutely.
Side note, did you guys know that HEB was voted the best grocery store in the United
Oh,
States the last
yes.
like 7 years in a row?
Absolutely. Yes.
It is the
Here.
one thing I will say that having moved to Texas, like it is as good as advertised.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Bucky's is not, and y'all can come for me.
Well, I would like to know, I mean, based on all of our travels, whenever we have everybody I'd love to hear what your top 3 grocery store chains are.
Oh,
Okay, I'll put it on the list. I'll
Okay.
put it
oh,
on the
yes.
list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My number 2 dessert. Uh, I want to say other things, but it would just be a lie. It's sweet potato pie.
Okay.
I just, I there is no way that it'll be in the house and I won't eat it. I
So
could be
Big
fat. I
League,
could be fasting. I will break the fast.
confession, Big League. They meant to buy you sweet potato pie,
Yeah, right.
and it was actually pumpkin pie. So
No, no,
so
no.
you
For
had in your
sure.
head.
For sure. And here's what's crazy. Here's what's crazy, right?
Oh.
You know, I'll really quick, I'll educate the audience. For the most part, this is a broad sweep, right? Our Caucasian brethren eat pumpkin pie, and our African American and African Caribbean brethren eat sweet potato pie. But if you
Mhm.
sit them two next to each other on the shelf, they look incredibly similar.
Yes, they do.
And if you ask someone who doesn't eat either to taste them both, they will tell you that they taste similar. They don't, but they
They
will tell
don't.
you that they do. If you like one or the other, they don't taste similar at all. I not only agree with the governor that that's what they meant to give you. I will also say that I think somehow Pumpkin has muted your taste buds because I have given you sweet potato pie since then, and you're like, it's okay, but I don't like it as good.
Wow.
And I,
Yeah.
Governor, I
I'm
looked at her
telling
again.
you.
Listen, I looked at her with the most judgy face ever known to man. Like,
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh. That's a
yeah,
true story.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Don't know
She
what it
literally
is.
said the words, "It's just okay."
Yowzers.
Yeah, I know. Tough crowd. Pumpkin has won my heart.
That's crazy.
Okay, so what's your number 2, Big League?
My number 2 is okay. So it's called in English it's almond jello, but it's a
Okay.
Chinese dessert, and
Mhm.
literally it's gelatinous. It's
Mm-hmm.
got an almond flavoring to it, and then as the Chinese do, they like to kill you with fake stuff. Not at all. I'm kidding. They put in the maraschino cherries and the
Mm-hmm.
diced peaches, and they put that in there, so it's kind of like a fruit cup ish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then sometimes they'll put what is that called? The tapioca,
Mm-hmm.
not boba, but the actual
Yeah.
tapioca seeds in it. So it's really good.
Okay.
So good.
So my third one was a toss-up, one that I was exposed to when I came to Texas,
Hmm.
and I probably had this at my 5th birthday party. Like, I'm talking about this has been around a long time, and I'm gonna stick with it because I've made it, and I mean, I cannot say no. Pineapple upside down cake. I am,
Really?
to this day, pineapple upside down cake
That
is
is one of those oddly delicious Caucasoid dishes. And I only say that because, like, when you grow up in an all black neighborhood, like
Mm-hmm.
no one makes that, right?
No
So
one makes that.
the first time you taste it is at your white friend's house, and you're like I don't know if this happened to you. I was like, I don't want to be rude. Give me a small piece and
Yeah.
let me taste it. 2 bites in, I was like, y'all got any more of that? It's ridiculously
It
good.
is. It is.
I feel like it needs a better name though.
Well, obviously whoever came up with it was like,
They dropped it.
I'm
They
out
dropped
of
it. That's what
ideas.
happened.
What are we going to call this?
Right?
Because it must have been a mistake. To think
Mhm.
that the way you make it,
Yeah. It definitely
right?
seems like it was an accident.
It
Like,
was an
oops.
ex. You put the pineapple and the sugar, and then put the batter on top.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
It definitely
really?
seems like a mistake.
It sounds like a man made it, and then it actually tastes out good. Came out
Hey,
good. I'm
hey.
kidding. That was actually funny.
Or
That
maybe
was
they
funny.
tried to do it right side up, and you were like, "Nah, we actually need to cook the sugar, so we need to." Yeah,
Oh
but
God.
yeah, I mean, childhood favorite to this day. Now, when I found out that that Cheesecake Factory has a pineapple upside down cheesecake, oh
Really?
my
Oh, I have to
goodness!
try that one.
And then to make it worse, Nothing But Cakes actually this
Yeah.
summer had a pineapple upside down bunt cake. Oh my goodness.
Oh, see, I've had
So
to stop looking at their emails, so I don't know that. I just delete their email until it's my birthday, and then I get my bun cake, and then I ignore the rest of them.
oh man. I just have to keep forgetting. I think it's every Tuesday there's a teacher special. Like you can
Yep.
actually
Hmm.
yeah.
Like 20% off or
No,
something.
you
Yeah.
need to forget that because you're going to weigh 274 pounds.
Easily. So yeah,
Oh my
that's
lord.
mine. What's yours founded in 1906?
So okay, so mine is it's very specific, right? So okay, I really like white chocolate, and lots of people make good to very good um, white chocolate macadamia nut cookies,
Mm-hmm.
but wifey makes them with, instead of white chocolate chips, she makes them with white chocolate Hershey's Kisses in the middle. See?
Oh
See
my.
that face you just made?
I know, I was like, did you see his
So
face?
so what happens is every bite you get cookie, macadamia nut, and a piece of the kiss from the middle.
Mm. Oh my.
It's outrageous.
That sounds exhilarating.
And I mistakenly one time like ate like half the cookie. So I got
Mhm.
like cookie, macadamia nut, and the whole white chocolate kiss. See,
Mhm.
that's my insulin levels went through the roof. I was pretty sure that I had just given myself diabetes, but it was amazing.
So that is a typical tell me you're a multi without telling me you're a multi, right?
Fair,
All these flavors
fair,
all together. I'm,
absolutely,
I'm gonna take a little bit of this, take a little bit of
Right?
this. Ah.
absolutely. Like when Reese's made the white chocolate Reese's cups.
Oh man.
So that's white chocolate, peanut butter.
Oh no.
Stop it. I will fight. Look, that and white chocolate Kit Kats, I will fight you.
Oh my gosh.
So what's your third big league?
My third. So unfortunately, I can't think of a non-holiday, a holiday that's in the middle of the year. I'm thinking of only like Christmas and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I found this specific ice cream in the Midwest. So elsewhere, I've seen mint ice cream and peppermint ice cream. But when we're in Indiana, it was peppermint ice cream with the peppermint candy chunks. So
Oh
like the
boy.
Starlight, like muddled up and whatever. So you have to crop all of it in there, and
Mm-hmm.
then you take the hard shell chocolate syrup. So it's the chocolate syrup that once it hits something cold, it hardens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, be still my heart. Delicious. Delicious.
So you're
So good.
reminding me of uh the Zurich. So in Zurich, um, or was it Lausanne? They had I don't know what possessed them, but they had Move and Pick. It's a brand of ice cream,
Uh, uh,
and it was a caramel ice cream, but it had like chunks of caramel candy.
mm-hmm. Mm, mm, too
I've
good.
never been able to find it anywhere else, and that's probably a good thing.
I know, right?
And the fact that I'm reminiscing about something that happened
And you,
20 years ago.
and you can taste it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Dude, is there anybody who have more like big back and fat kid tendencies ever than the end of the season track athlete?
Oh Lord.
Right? Like you have been being good and not eating this stuff all year, and now the season's over? What?
Well, let's not even talk about what we see after everybody's done at the Olympics. That is an
Yeah.
episode in itself. The
So I'll say
humanity.
that the normalness that goes through, right? That was the hard part in the village, and obviously I don't have preview experience before this one, but because we only had the dining hall,
Mm-hmm.
like you didn't see anything super outrageous after
Boy.
people were done because you couldn't.
Well, that's because you didn't, unfortunately, you haven't experienced a McDonald's.
That's what I just say.
Right.
Listen
Yeah,
to my
no,
words.
no, no,
You're
no.
not listening.
You are
I just
completely
said
correct.
that.
Well, no, no. I'm saying you said you only had the dining hall. You're not understanding. The McDonald's used to be in the dining hall.
In the dining
I
hall.
I know, but what I'm saying is we only had that food.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is very true.
So, anyways,
You
that
got the
was
most mid dining hall experience
I
ever.
did.
Man.
I did.
Boy.
My pins say otherwise, but otherwise. Anyways, um, but that was the real part of the conversation that everybody watched this last hour for is our dessert ratings. That's
I
all
mean,
that matters.
absolutely.
So, anyways, well, that was fun. Good topics. educational, opinionated, but always in good love for our sport, track and
Absolutely.
field, of which that we love. So, everyone, if you're competing this weekend, have fun. We'll see you on TFers. I'll just be watching and clicking. But other than that, I'll see you all in January when we compete again, like the governor.
Right. The
But
regular
otherwise,
folks.
I know. Well, us common folk, we're not
Yes.
privy to this
Yeah.
December meet.
Yeah.
So, but have a great weekend. Travel safe, and we'll see each other soon. Bye, everyone.